Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only, Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I am here tonight with PK. PK, how you doing out there in Arizona?
Well, just put it this way. I have a suntan from the inside out. It's so damn hot out here. Good Lord.
Wow. Oh, my. Well, we had hot weather that we're not used to. I know you guys are used to it, but we weren't. And it was high 80s, 90s, and it went on and on and on. It was a severe drought, but we finally got rain today. So I think it's over.
Well, we're on a rain alert late in the afternoon. Yesterday, the rain was coming sideways, and it was raining like crazy for about 45 minutes. That was it. And every day it's been something late afternoon. Yeah. But it's not all in the same areas of town. My son will be getting drowned, and I'll be 4 or 5 miles from him, and I won't get a drop. It all just depends on what God wants to give us that day.
I guess, huh? Certain groups get it and certain don't. Well, I have had a lot of questions from everybody on what happened with my husband and his brother, who he had never met his whole life and just met for the first time last week. It was great, everybody. They are brothers. There's no question. They have so many similarities. It's just too funny. Talk about genetics. They grew up in separate families. Just to give you a little background, everybody, they didn't know about each other until they both happened to take a 23andMe test. And there it was, that my husband, who grew up as an only child, actually had a half-brother. So anyways, due to COVID, they weren't able to meet for a couple of years, all the nonsense with shutdowns and la-di-da. But finally, they were able, my husband's new brother and his girlfriend were able to come up, and it was an incredibly fun visit. Of course, they got along great. Like I said, they are brothers, no question. So it was a lot of fun just to see the similarities between them. Yeah, and to hear about it, that they both like a lot of the same things. And as you know, we have lions in front of our entryway door. And well, so does the new brother. He has lions. They both share the same gargoyles.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. They have the same gargoyles at their home, the same kind of carpet. Oh, my goodness. It goes on and on. So it was really fun. We had a great time. And now the house feels empty without them. So we can't wait for them to come back. So anyway.
What a wonderful get-together. Isn't it amazing how similar things can be, yet there's never a connection, except of course, by birth. But when you get together, the similarities are just incredible.
Yeah, and I said to my husband, I said, do you now feel like you have a brother? And he said, I do. So blood is thicker than water. And
that's
true.
Great.
So anyways, he now has a baby brother, which is great. It's very, very exciting. So I'm very thankful to all these new genetic testing formats that allow us to find people that we would never find any other way. I mean, there was a big backstory to this whole thing and what went down, and we never would have found him without this test. So great advantage when you can use this type of technology. I know some people don't want to be found, but in this case, it was quite the opposite.
That's a truism.
Yes, yes. So, my goodness, UFO sightings are everywhere. I mean, every week I say this, but I couldn't believe what has been going on this past week. And also what's happening is a lot of past UFO stories are coming out. There's one coming out that happened in Brazil. It's been made into a movie. I believe it's being released in October. It looks fantastic, so I can't wait to see this. But a lot of those older ones are coming out now with many, many witnesses and credible witnesses. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens next and how many other people are going to be speaking out. A lot of people are speaking out, not just about UFOs, but there were 14 FBI agents that came forward that wanted to talk about, well, they're whistleblowers. They wanted to talk about the corruption in the FBI and what's going on there.
So, corruption in our FBI?
Yeah, I can't.
What's such a thought?
But you know what? But here's the thing. I really credit these people, these 14, because it should be more. It should be more. Because when there is that lack of integrity in an organization like that that's wielding so much power, to me, it makes sense to come forward and say, I don't want to be a part of this because it's wrong. You know, I'm not aligned with this in my heart and my mind. It's just, I don't want to be aligned with it. So I really credit these 14 people who've had the courage to come forward. I'm really excited to hear what they have to say. So we need more
dollars
of that.
And cents for those that have been with the, shall we say, Secret Service, FBI, et cetera, for so many years. They're worried about losing their pensions.
Well, of course, they're worried about losing their jobs and things like that. But how can you live with yourself when you are participating in such a corrupt situation and you're basically selling your soul is what you're doing for a paycheck? Is it worth it? So I see these 14 people, and again, I commend them for their courage and standing up for what's right instead of just going along with it because they need a job to pay the bills. There's other jobs. Yeah. There's other ways to earn a living. So I know it's not easy, but there were a lot of people that stood up to the vaccine and said, no, I will not take it, and I will lose my job. I don't care. I'm not going to do something that is wrong. And now look at all the information that's coming out from the CDC and from the vaccine manufacturers themselves that these vaccines don't work. And not only that, but there are a tremendous amount of people who are now reporting getting sick and from other things, but I mean from the vaccine, but other symptoms, and they're also dying. They're dying. So all of this is now it's documented, it's out there, you can read about it, and of course we want our audience to always be healthy and safe, but the information's out there now. They're not even trying to hide it. So important to really be your own best reference and do your homework, dig deep to find out what's really going on, because the manipulation that they love to do is in full force, and it's really in full force now. So keep your eyes open, everybody, and stay safe. Just don't go along with things to go along. That doesn't make any sense, and it won't help you or your family. So tonight, we've got a great guest, do we not?
No, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Now, Tom has been with us before. He is an inventor and an expert in scalar energy, which is going to be the energy, hopefully, of the future, because it's clean energy, and there are so many potentials with this. I mean, Nikola Tesla was an amazing genius, and unfortunately, all of his stuff was co-opted and hidden away, and we went to another system. But I'm going to let Tom tell this whole story and enlighten our audience. And Tom's been doing some new things with scalar energy that he's going to share with us tonight. So we're always happy to have Tom with us on Supernatural Girls. So, Tom, welcome to the show.
Ladies, it's a pleasure once again. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, it's always great to hear from you and seeing all the new things you're into. But before we even go there, you are offering everybody in our audience a free trial of experiencing scalar energy. So that link is on Supernatural Girls website, supernaturalgirls.com. Scroll down where you see all of the health items that we list. We don't sell them, but we list them because we've vetted them, and they give a discount to our people. So check all of that out, but scroll down, and you will see there's the link for a free trial to experience that thanks to Tom's generosity. So, Tom, tell us all about you and Scalar. What's the story here?
Yeah, the story really goes back to Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds of all time, Nikola Tesla. I was inspired by Tesla as a youngster, and I'm following up at least with some of Tesla's experiments, not all of them. I can't do that. So what am I getting at? I'm working with Tesla energy, or what many people today call scalar energy. Now, why do we do that? Well, it's technology, and this type of technology serves to improve our life. Any type of advancement, any type of technology that would improve the human condition, well, why not? So that's what I'm really all about right now. I want to see the world benefit. We realize that there are many problems. This world is beset by many problems. I want to offer solutions. At least I have some of the solutions to our problems. And as you highlighted as we opened up the hour, many people have lost their trust in some facets of our government and some perhaps in academia to some extent in business. And that has to be restored. We need a new way of reconciling us with the powers that be. So I propose that we have a new start, a fresh start here. And I think scalar energy is that new start so that we can get away from the politics and government, so that we can get away from the graft, the corruption in business. I envision scalar energy as a new start for mankind.
I think that's great. I mean, we need that. There is no question that we need a new start, and we need new forms of energy. I mean, the way they're handling everything now with all this Green Deal stuff, it doesn't even make any sense. It's very convoluted. It doesn't add up. Yeah. It looks, again, like just another way to get tax money out of people, so the politicians get richer and we become more like slaves. Whereas Scalar, now tell us more about where Scalar comes from. How does it work? We need to know, like, the actual, how does this happen kind of explanation of Scalar.
If you listen to Tesla, and he really hit the nail on the head, Tesla saw that the sun in our solar system, was really the source of this radiant energy. So what am I getting at? We're looking at an infinite supply of energy. That's so important. We need some new way. We need a new start. And scalar energy, as this infinite supply of solar energy or stellar energy, is what Tesla was using. And he was very successful tapping into the infinite energy of the stars and to power, if you will, light bulbs or to power a car. This is the new start that we need, people. We see that this Green Deal is really a hoax. There's no plan behind it, and it's not working.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you have to look at performance. You have to look at performance, whether regardless of your political affiliation, you have to look at the performance of government. And this past year has been a disaster for our country. It's a disaster.
Exactly. Yes.
So what do I propose? This new start has to have some type of energy matrix, some type of energy that we can depend upon. Scalar energy, this Tesla energy that I envision, this is the future, the free energy of the sun and the stars. Now, this is not really that futuristic. It's already been accomplished. Let me make that very clear. Nikola Tesla was using scalar energy instruments, and this free energy, he was able to power various types of motors. What am I getting at? We simply have to revisit the work of Nikola Tesla and then once again re-engineer his work to power the world.
Now, could you tell us a little bit more about the history of this? Because he was going full steam ahead. He had some investors, but then something happened with Edison and him. And tell us about this. What happened?
Yeah, Tesla and Edison had the war of the currents that they called it. Edison wanted DC, Tesla wanted AC, and AC won the day. And ever since that, they became, if you will, enemies. Tesla was the superior mind, but Edison was in league with the bankers, and Edison was more of a businessman than he was an inventor. Anyway, long story short, later in his life, Tesla saw that AC electricity was the way to go, and he gave us the electrical age, which is AC electricity. He won that war, so to speak, the war of the currents. Thereafter, Tesla said, I can do even better than AC electricity, and Tesla discovered what he called radiant energy, or the energy of the stars. Now, to put this into context, Tesla became so proficient with scalar energy that he could take out the engine, the combustion engine of a car, and retrofit it with a scalar energy engine. And he was able to maneuver, he was able to operate a car at high speeds using this free energy from the stars. Now, consider what I'm saying. Tesla had a free energy car, and the source of energy was the stars. Now, why aren't we using that energy today? Why haven't we, once again, resurrected his work? Well, to be very plain about the matter, this is an intimidation to the military-industrial complex. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the issue right now. That's the impediment.
You know, I never thought of it that way, Tom, but you make a lot of sense because really, I always thought it was more about it would interfere with the ability for the big families that run everything to make money, oil and gas and all of that kind of stuff. But now that you're talking about the military-industrial complex, you may be right. It's more about why.
Yeah, I think all of the above, to be quite candid. Now, back in the day, when J.P. Morgan had an interest in the work of Tesla, he made it very clear to Tesla he would finance him, and for a while the money was coming in. But ultimately, it came to the attention of Morgan that Tesla was working on free energy. Now, consider the Morgans and the Rockefellers 100, 150 years ago when they controlled the railroads. They controlled the electrical industry. They controlled copper wire. They controlled the steel mills. Now, if you introduce a new paradigm, a new way of living using free energy from the stars, which would make obsolete the railroads, would make obsolete car manufacturing, would make obsolete any type of chemical industry. Well, that was the intimidation. And thereafter, the smear campaign began in earnest. In other words, when Tesla made it clear that he wanted to give the world free energy, these elitist families, these very wealthy families, through their manipulation of the American media, started a smear campaign against him. And to this day, this is why you don't hear about Tesla in our classrooms. You have to do private study to read about Nikola Tesla. Now, all of that has been orchestrated by the cabals, by the international bankers, who not only can control industry, but they can also control the dissemination of information.
Right. Yes. Yep. We've seen that live and in person the last few years in a major way. So, and this has been going on, as you're now talking about, for many years before that. We may not have noticed it, but this is a perfect example of how they use their power to control the way people thought about energy and oil and everything else.
Yes. And who
thought of where we could be today is just incredible had they allowed things to take place.
Exactly. We would have progressed. We would certainly not have been in this dilemma as we are right now, as of this recording, of a energy crisis. We're in the midst of summer here. There is a heat wave that the entire country is experiencing, and many people are without power, or there are brownouts, or let's face it, the Green Deal that they propose is not to fruition. Okay, it's just not tenable. Why? It's too far of a reach right now. So we have to be pragmatic about this, and we need an energy policy. And what the government has put forth is failing. There are skyrocketing energy costs. People have a tough time putting food on the table today. What's my point? Well, we need a new paradigm. We need a new beginning. I am proposing that scalar energy is that new beginning.
It'd be fabulous.
Red Hat 21.
Yes. So we do need that, and we need a new paradigm that takes over healthcare as well, because it's very much tied in to all of that. It's all part and parcel of the same money-making schemes that have gone on for many years at our expense. So when you talk about the new paradigm, we understand that, but how do we get there, Tom? These things you're talking about sound great, but how do we make them happen?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's step by step. Let's look at the computer industry. 80 years ago, 70 years ago, it was theory. And the powers that be, the various scientists were working with computers back in the 50s and 60s. They were cumbersome, but they were still trying to make that advancement. Well, then finally we had working models in the 60s and 70s, and by the 80s, everybody practically had a computer. So that's the trajectory that I see with Scalar and these other inventions, as long as you allow them to come to fruition. So if we could do it with the computer, and if we've done it with the cell phone, and if we've done that with fax machines, and let's face it, we did it over 150 years ago with cars, I don't see why we can't do that with Scalar. Now, it has to be a holistic fit. What do I mean by that? Well, everybody has to benefit. Sure, this has to become an industry. Yes, people have to make money at it. There has to be a transition from the existing energy monopoly to a new, much fairer energy paradigm. No more monopoly, energy for everybody. And I frequently use this example.
Like what would we start with? You're talking about, the iPhone, the fax machine, how all of that spread throughout our whole civilization here. But, okay, what do we start with? What's the first piece of equipment that you would suggest that everybody think about owning?
Yeah, I'm going to work on the next 5 to 10 years an energy generation system, a scalar energy generation system in which we could install this in homes. And then each home, one by one, would be able to generate power within their home, or at least to illuminate their house. Now, if we can do that, that's a start in the right direction. And what's the key here? When you're working with scalar energy, it is wireless, no wires. Meaning what? Well, then we don't have to depend upon any type of utility company. We become the utility company. That's the key with energy generation. So if this is really going to take off in the future, somebody, perhaps I'll be involved in it, will develop a home system in which people will be able to at least power or provide illumination in their home locally under their protection, under their guidelines, so that we don't have to rely upon the energy grid. The key to this is the monopoly. You have to get away from the energy grid. You cannot depend upon utility companies. You cannot depend upon the government. You have to become independent of you. Yes.
And here's a good example. Here's a good example of the nonsense that we have now. Okay, and this is a really good example. Okay, everybody's screaming solar, 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 and you get all these phone calls. Do you have solar? We can get you solar. Okay, fine. Now here's what happens when you get solar. You're limited. You're limited. You can only get X amount of solar. Well, what if you want more? Well, then you lose your benefits. So you can only have a certain amount of solar on your property, and if you try to get more, they're going to say, oh, sure, you can have more, but guess what? You're not going to get reimbursements. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. So they're still controlling it, and it has to go through the power company. I mean, unless you're totally off-grid, you have to go through the power company. You have to be hooked in, and they're monitoring all of it. So you still get a bill from the electric company, and hopefully if you're doing it right, it says 0 in the balance. But again, it's like this, they still have control of all of this. They want you to have solar, but only this much. And I find that infuriating. It's infuriating.
You're right. And they
so what
do
you're
that so they
makes more sense.
Yes, they do that to keep the monopoly propped up. You see, if everybody had free energy, they know the utility companies would collapse, and the cabal would no longer be able to market oil, electricity, etc. So they're taking this piecemeal. Instead of doing this the right way, they're curtailing our ability. This cabal is curtailing our potential. They've done that for decades now, for centuries. It's wrong.
Yes.
It's manipulation.
Right. No, that's true. And I do know of people that have participated in situations where they have created engines and generators and things that are close to what you're talking about. And I know for a fact that all of those businesses were shut down, bought out, shut down, workers go home. So, it's not like this hasn't been tried before. And so
you're absolutely right.
And that's the problem with this is when people like you who have the ability to understand the technology and to actually put it together, well, there's not really a lot of support for that, is there?
No, there isn't. And thank you for seeing that. And this, let's be quite blunt. Demonic forces stood in the way of Tesla's work. Tesla tried to liberate mankind. Well, he did the best he could, but at the end of the day, he faced rather evil forces against his work. His work was seminal. Tesla could have, if you will, in summary fashion, he could have solved the energy crisis. We would not allow him. The cabal would not allow him. So let's pray that God's guidance will allow us a better way to end this energy crisis once and for all.
Yes, exactly. Now, Tesla died penniless, from what I understand. And when he died, I also heard that the government swooped in and took all of his patents, all of his research. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The day he died, the United States government seized everything in his laboratory. And then you have to say to yourself, well, why? What's the point here? Why would they do that? Well,
I knew it would work.
They're intimidated.
That's the whole thing.
They're intimidated by what he's done.
That's true.
They don't want it out there. They don't want us to know. But people like you have found out how it works and how to make it a positive thing for people. So, they can't stop all of it as much as they try. But if they see a way that it's interfering with their profit, that's a problem for them.
Right? Do you get do you outside sources try to intimidate you about what you do?
No. But to be quite candid, God protects me. And
thank God. I'm grateful for that.
Thank you for your concern. But frankly, and I'm not trying to be coy here, these outside sources remain ignorant. They don't understand this. In many ways, God has blinded them. They don't get this. God has blinded them, and they're blind. They're confused, and they don't get it.
They don't get what? What part of it?
They don't understand. they don't understand what I'm doing. They don't understand scalar energy. If they really understood what I have, free energy devices, they would probably be much more interested in looking at my work. I don't think they quite understand what this means and the implications here. I frankly believe God is protecting me, and he's blinded these evil people. Now, this is what happens when you're in that type of realm, if you will, that dark realm. You don't understand. And I don't think these people who are very dark, who are frankly evil, I don't think they quite understand what scalar energy is. It's beyond them. They're blind.
Yeah. Now, the possibilities with scalar, I think, pardon me, these beeps keep coming to, and I'm trying to stop them. I'm on a different phone this time because the landline went down. So anyways, just apologizing in advance for any of these beeps that I'm having trouble shutting off. But
can't hear anything. It's okay.
Okay, good. Thank you. With scalar, the potential for not just free energy to power our houses and heat our homes and do things like that, and be able to cook also, any of those things. But there's also the power to rise up within our own consciousness with scalar light, right? I mean,
yes.
Somebody wants spiritual awareness, and I know you and your wife are very spiritually aware, and you've often posted photographs of Mary in scalar light. Where do those come from?
Yeah. Many people have been able to photograph Mother Mary many times in the sky. And if you look closely at those photographs, there's a bright white light or a halo always around Mother Mary. I can guarantee you that's scalar energy. That's the divine energy from the sun and the stars. Now, that's how important this energy is. It's a perpetual energy. It's the energy of heaven. And if it's good enough for heaven, well, it's good enough for us here on planet Earth, so to speak.
I would think so. I would think so.
But how do you get those photographs? Are you showing a beam of scalar light into the sky and it manifests like that?
You know, many times there are holy places. Sometimes there are apparition sites where the Blessed Virgin Mary appears. And as a sign of her presence, she'll leave an indication in the sky, some type of a light in the sky, or some people can even photograph the Blessed Mother in the sky at these apparition sites. All of that is proof positive that there's something extraordinary happening at these holy sites. Now, I show that frequently on my website to show people that this is a reality, that this energy, this light is a divine light, and if the saints and the angels are enveloped in this light, well, it must be a sublime, holy, perfect light. You know, you cannot find anything unfavorable in heaven. So if this is the light of heaven, then scalar energy is the way to go. I frequently tell people, what would you rather have? A movement of electrical current, which is electricity, or divine energy? What would you rather have in your home? An electrical wire or a divine presence?
I'll go for the divine.
Good question. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take the divine presence. Well, and plus, with electricity, I know a lot of people are talking about how a lot of that isn't good for you. So it's actually hurting ourselves in certain ways. I'm not even going to get into 5G, but I'm talking about just basic electricity can be detrimental.
It's a long-standing rule that nobody in their right mind wants to be living close to or underneath high-tension wires, high-tension electrical lines. Usually most municipalities do not allow homes or factories to be built underneath these high-tension wires. Why? Well, studies have shown that if you spend a great deal of time in the vicinity of these high-tension wires, you will develop cancer or some other type of ailment. Well, I think that's prudent.
That's true.
You know, I've seen those high-tension wires throughout Florida, and the new building code is you're not allowed to build a home underneath those high-tension electrical lines. That's a smart rule. That's smart thinking by many of these municipalities, and that's the way it should be. Why? Because too much electricity or some of those frequencies are harmful, are deleterious. And in so doing, we've seen an increase, a spike in cancer or autoimmune disease or genetic dysfunction if you're living within the vicinity of those high tension wires. Vis-a-vis the alternative of scalar energy, which I've never heard of anybody ever experiencing any type of malady, any type of medical condition while in or immersed under a scalar energy environment.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Now, Dr. Tennant, are you aware of his work in Texas?
I am not.
He works. Okay. He has a device, a small handheld device. It is not inexpensive. And it produces scalar light. And he's a medical doctor. He has a list of devices you can purchase and learn how to use that develop healing electrical current at the right frequency. And then he has this little scalar thing. Well, of course I had to have the scalar thing, so I got it. And it is amazing because I don't know how I did it, just like being me. I guess I knocked my hip out, and oh my God, I was in so much pain. It was awful. And I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do about this? I've got a million things that have to be done, but I can't even walk right now. So, I mean, I couldn't even lie down on the bed without help because it hurt that much. Yeah, it was horrible. So I got up my little scalar light, and I was in bed with it, and I just turned it on, put it against my hip. You know, it only took me 2 days, and I'm back to normal. So 2 days of using the scalar light, and it's fine. Now, I can tell you that it wasn't heading in that direction without the scalar light. It was going downhill fast, and I'm like, I can't afford to be laid up. I have too much to do. So, anyways, too many people and animals, et cetera, relying on me. I can't be lying here for 2 weeks. So it was only 2 days, but it was the scalar light was the only thing I used. And it worked.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So Dr. Jerry Tennant, he is the one that came up, and you might want to look into what he's doing and see. He had a terrible infection that occurred in his brain because he was an eye surgeon, and at that point, when they were doing this specialized cataract and everything else surgery, they didn't realize that if the person had any type of infection, it could be transmitted to the surgeons. And he ended up, really, really ill for months and months and months, and there was no cure. So he found his way out of it by using these things he invented. He invented this little scalar light, and he invented these frequencies, these electrical frequencies that he could use to get better, and now he uses it to help other people. And he's based in Texas. And his company is, I think it's called Senergy, Sennergy. Got to have them on sometime to talk about this. But, yeah, so that's very similar in some ways to what you're doing, but it's quite expensive to purchase all of that equipment. I will tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not cheap stuff, but it does work.
Incredible.
Yeah,
it really is, very much so.
And also, with him being a medical doctor, he has all the medicine behind him. But as he said, our current system of medicine is horrible. So he's in agreement with all of us about needing a change.
Yeah, I don't think many people are in the dark anymore. Many people realize that in the driving force behind medicine today really has a lot to do with banking and if you will, the pharmaceutical companies and the petrochemical companies. So what is my point? This did not start off on a good foot, so to speak, people. And we're sadly we're going down that road of money, where money is dictating the medical community. It's dictating the medical landscape. Well, I thought healing would dictate the medical landscape, but let's face it, we can't be naive. This is, in many ways, the problem today with modern-day medicine. It's designed to make money. It's not designed to help people. My goodness.
Yeah, that's
it's all
absolutely
about greed.
true. Yeah.
All about greed.
I have to say, though, our trauma medicine is very good. I mean, for the most part.
Excellent. It's excellent.
Yeah, but when it comes to chronic illness, no. We are doing exactly what you just described, is finding ways to make people pay for more medication, more surgeries, but nobody ever gets better.
Yeah, and let's be very clear. The medical community, I give them an A+. They've been through a tough 2 years. They're good people. The nurses, the physicians, the researchers, they're good people. I don't think many of those people realize that they've been undermined, that there's been a subterfuge, that in many ways medicine is not designed to improve the human condition. Medicine is designed to enrich the elitist families. That's the driving force today behind American medicine.
It is, and if you look at this whole push with an untested vaccine, and how all of a sudden it became mandated, and you're going to lose your job unless you do it, and all of this behavior that we haven't really seen before is all questionable. And now we see why it was questionable. But yeah, certainly, who was making the money off of this? They were making billions and billions of dollars off these vaccines. So yeah, this has become a problem that we can't turn our heads from anymore. We really have to deal with this. And also, don't comply. If something doesn't feel right to you, then guess what? It probably isn't. So again, do your homework on all of it. But you have an interesting way of working with scalar energy for aging and health and other things. Now, again, I'm going to give a caveat here, everybody. We are not saying don't go to the doctor. We're not saying don't take your medication. We're not saying any of that. We're saying here's something to entertain, and always, as you know, check with your medical team, whomever they are, whether you work with alternative practitioners or traditional doctors. These are all your personal choices. And we always say to people, get a team together. If you're facing some type of a chronic illness or injury or something where you need help, get a bunch of people together who are well-trained and experienced in helping you. Here's something that's very unique, very different, and easy to use. So, Tom, tell us how you came up with this.
Okay. So, again, in the vein of Tesla technology, I've been working with Tesla instruments, and those instruments are able to work by way of a person's photograph. Now, what do I mean by that? A scalar energy instrument is able to look at a person's photograph and ascertain whether they need vitamins or minerals or antioxidants, or whether that person has a viral infection. Now, all of this is done through Tesla technology, quantum technology, and the beauty of this type of technology is we're able to improve health by way of Tesla technology through the interface of a photograph. Yes, I mean that, through the interface of a photograph. A scalar energy instrument or a Tesla instrument can look at a photograph, the signature, the energy signature on a photograph, send energy into that photograph and change, if you will, the energy signal on the photograph. So everything is instructional. Everything boils down to the force field on a photograph. Well, my goodness, it works. And I've seen that so many times with people around the world, to the point where I'm able now to work with people around the world. I'm able to eradicate pathogens, viruses, bacteria. With this instrument, I'm able to, if you will, correct a hormonal imbalance. I'm able, with scalar energy, to assemble a vitamin or a nutrient. All of this is done through a scalar energy instrument, through the quantum realm, through quantum intelligence. Yes, it works, and we see great benefit from people around the world.
That's tremendous. And, you're right in line with a lot of what is being said now about using sound for the same thing, that sound can actually break apart. They're finding it breaks apart cancer cells and things like that. So here we have the two biggies, sound and light, and that they're both capable, according to research. This is not just anecdotal. They are capable of changing your physiology.
Yes.
For the better.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Exactly. Thank you. Now, if we really take a good look and we look at what is sound, well, it's instructions, or a lot of people say it's another form of light. Yes, that's correct. And why would we just limit ourselves to a drug, a pharmaceutical product, which is likewise some type of instruction, but why would we limit ourselves to a chemical instruction when we can have something that's much purer, something that's fundamental, such as sound or light? I would much rather use sound or light. And that way we have the processes guaranteed with sound or light.
And you're giving instructions that support the whole system, because when you take a medication, and I will never forget Dr. Chopra explaining this, when you take a medication for, like, to control sugar in diabetes or whatever, you take that medication, it's not just affecting the certain cells that regulate sugar. It's affecting every cell in your body. Now, not every cell in the body needs that. So Dr. Chopra explained it beautifully. And it's like, it's not that every cell in your body needs that medication, but it's going to get it if that's the way you're going to treat that disease. So here's something that supports the whole system. And it sounds like with Scalar, correct me if I'm wrong here, but when this scalar energy is beamed at a photograph or at a person, that the body takes in what it needs, where it needs it, as it needs it. Does that sound right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Now, going back to my earlier statement, this is sunlight or starlight. And according to that tenet, I am working with the life force or sunlight or starlight of the universe. And when I do that, it's the energy that makes that determination. Just as we see, how much sunlight does a tree need? Well, enough for the tree to grow 50 feet or 60 feet tall. So how much scalar energy does the human body need? Well, enough just to restore our health. I often tell people this, and I want them to ponder this. Why is it that the trees are vibrant, but the trees never grow a foot tall, or the trees never grow 1,000 feet tall? And why is it that the tree, if you let the tree absorb the sunlight and the proper nutrients from the soil and proper watering, if you will, precipitation, trees always flourish, because that's an inbuilt system of sunlight, of photosynthesis, an inbuilt system of having minerals delivered through their roots. And it always works. It works with plants around the world. It works with trees around the world. And it always works within a certain parameters. Again, the trees grow to a certain height. What is my point? The point being is this will work if we allow it God's way, nature's way. This is the key. This is the key. This is why we have such great success in nature. When we work with God's way, with this divine light, it always works. And my testimony to that is nature. Look at the trees, look at the plants, look at the grass, look at the animals, the reptiles, look at the insects. Everything is governed by sunlight, by this all-encompassing light force energy. Does it work? Yes. Is it producing a deleterious side effect? No. The animals are healthy. The trees are healthy. The people are healthy. When you do it with sunlight, God's light, it always works.
Now, let me ask you a question about that, because I know a lot of my friends have used your system and have benefited tremendously from it. What about rebuilding bones? There's a lot of us older women that have weakened bone structure and osteoporosis, osteopenia. What can be done with scalar light to affect something specific like that that's affecting so many women today?
Yeah, that's I believe a multifaceted situation, and in many ways, yes, there's perhaps a low calcium diet, but it also has to deal with age-related hormonal changes. How can I help? Well, I have various programs. I have one program, for instance, called Natural Foods, and as the name implies, I work with the natural foods, and I'm able to assemble, create, download natural foods. And in so doing, this benefits people because then they have the ability and they have the nutrition to rebuild tissue. They have the ability to rebuild tendons, or their skin is much more supple, or they look more youthful. Now, what do I propose? Natural foods is a way in which I take the phytochemicals found in fruits and herbs and grains and vegetables, and I download those phytochemicals, those natural plant chemicals, into people. And it works. It works quite well. We've had great success. People have told us that this has helped them with their mobility, that they're no longer, if you will, experiencing this poor range of motion. Why? Because they need the proper nutrition to have that proper mobility.
We're talking about going through that. Say, a person's case, well, I'll just use my instance for this. I had a hysterectomy at age 26. I'm now 85, and I have severe osteoporosis. The back and being able to be mobile right now is very difficult. What is the best way for me to try to regroup, rebuild, or put together something to make what time I have left as comfortable and workable as possible?
Okay, all right. So you have to take a holistic approach. I really would consider sitting down with an herbalist or a naturopathic doctor and finding the right diet, the right, if you will, food intake so that you can rebuild your hormones. Many of those hormones are available through plants. I'm going to mention this, and I want you both to really consider this. Conditions like osteoporosis and many of the hormonal problems that many women experience here in Western society are not experienced so much in Japan or Vietnam or Thailand. Mm-hmm. And many people draw this distinction that osteoporosis is rampant here in this culture because we eat processed food. And the food does not have the proper phytochemicals, it does not have the proper plant hormones. You do not have the incidence of osteoporosis that you do in the Pacific Rim, especially places like Japan, where they're constantly eating plant-based food, a plant-based diet, or a great deal of seafood, and not so much of processed food in this country. So you have to ask yourself, why is a woman in Japan less likely to develop osteoporosis as opposed to a woman in Canada or the United States? There have been many studies that have been conducted, and there is a distinct dichotomy here, Why? A lot of it has to do with the fact that they're eating sprouts in the Pacific Rim, that they're eating plant hormones in which they've not leached out those minerals and those hormones. Sometimes they eat, they just steam their vegetables. So you have to go back to nature. I think that's one of the key indicators. Some people some societies do not really face that challenge that we face here in this country. Processed food is, at the end of the day, going to be held accountable for many of these illnesses.
Right.
And mushrooms is another thing that these other cultures use a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also, we had somebody on a few weeks ago talking about mushrooms, and they did recommend oyster mushrooms to you, PK, that was one of the things that helped to rebuild bones. So that fits in with what Tom is talking about with changing diet. Yeah, all of that makes sense. So when Patricia sends you her photograph for the free trial, so she would experience Scalar light and for a few weeks, right? And her body would have a chance to kind of reorganize itself with that light.
Exactly. After 15 days, some people, not everybody, some people can see a shift, an improvement in their health. And that's the point of a free trial. There's no coercion on our part. We don't force this upon anybody. The best way to introduce a new science is by way of a free trial. I'm convinced of that. That's why we give away that 15 days of free sessions.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. People always
everybody
trying something different.
But when it's find that link
to try it
on our Facebook page, and you can find that link on our Blog Talk Radio page, and I will be adding it again tomorrow so that you can make use of this generous offer. And they're not asking for a credit card or anything like that. It's just straight up, here's your 15 days. So that's a really good thing. And now you also have been doing some work, Tom, on aging. Tell us about that.
Yeah. We see the need to slow down the aging process, and I've come up, if you will, with a new process. I call it the anti-aging regimen, in which we're able to combine a number of our therapies, a number of our protocols. And the bottom line here with this anti-aging protocol is to wrap everything into a package. It's a package, if you will. So we have what we call our standardized sessions, in which we're able to provide minerals and vitamins. We also have a part of the package, the ability to assemble natural foods, the ability to assemble minerals and precious stones, the ability to assemble endorphins and neurotransmitters. Now, that's a package. We call it the anti-aging package. Why? In so doing, we're able to address, hopefully, most of the hormonal needs, most of the nutritional needs, most of the needs for the essential amino acids, the fatty acids that people need. So, if you will, these 4 programs in one, the anti-aging program, many people experience a significant improvement in their health if they're on the program for, say, 2 or 3 months. Why? Because, well, I'll put numbers to it. The Natural Foods program, we assemble over 200 natural foods energetically. The Minerals and Precious Stones program, that protocol assembles over 140 minerals inside the human energetic body. Again, everything is energetic with us. The endorphin program, over 80 different types of endorphins and neurotransmitters. Many of those endorphins and neurotransmitters not only make us happy, but they work hand in hand with our hormonal balance. They work hand in hand with our brain activity. So it's called the anti-aging program, and I think it does slow down the aging process. I'm 62 years of age, and I believe it has helped me significantly feel and stay young.
You don't look your age. That's for certain.
He does not.
I remember
definitely
years ago when you were developing the endorphin program, you were kind enough to let me try it, and I was impressed with that in a major way. I mean, I really felt happy about nothing. And it was like, why am I so happy? And then I realized the only thing that was different was that program. So it really does work. It really makes a difference. I must have lost some endorphins along the way. I don't know, because I did feel a profound shift from a short trial with that. It was excellent. So I really liked it. But I have an idea for you. So I'm going to mention it live on the air, and let's see if you're interested. I was just watching a program on Gaia with, I'm going to forget this guy's name. I think it's Dr. Gifford or Dr. Guilford, one of those. Anyways, he did a series on sacred geometry, which I've never really had a big interest in. But I was actually lying there with my Scalar device and my hip resorting, and I didn't have anything to watch, so I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll just watch this thing. I was intrigued. It was a very well done program. And these geometric forms, he talks about, how to create these in your own mind's eye and how to use them on in a daily practice kind of way. I thought these things were great. I just loved the whole thing, everything that they did. But then I was thinking about your work and how you embed these codes with the scalar light with people. Can you do that with the sacred geometry things that this guy was using in the series?
Sure. I think everything has a scalar energy signature, and many people use crystals or they use different geometric forms, and all of those forms send energy or instructions into the human body. So, this is a new science. It's an emerging science. So when we hear about scalar energy, nobody has the answer for everything. If my remark is this: if it's safe and it's effective, then do it.
Well, I think it's something I would like to. If you put it together, I would be your first trial person with it, because it's intriguing to me, because it takes the ancient Egyptian knowledge and it brings it right into our contemporary time. It also is something that really allows you to disengage from the matrix, to not be a part of all of this other nonsense that's going on out there, but to really find your true inner power, which I know Scalar supports. But these geometric symbols and ways that they talk about and they show, which I like being shown what these things look like. If it was used as Scalar, I would think it'd be tremendous.
Would using the gemstones, would that be enhanced because of the scalar energy at it? Do you have to have the gemstones on you, or are they transmitted to you via the scalar?
When I'm working with scalar energy, everything is by way of a person's photograph. So I actually take photographs of gemstones, take that energetic code, and then I transmit that energy from the gemstone to the person by way of photographs.
Oh, okay.
So you have to consider, for instance, we're having a conversation right now. Obviously, I am not in your cell phone. I'm not in your phone. You're not in my phone. What's my point? It's a voice modulation. So if we can modulate our voices, then we can modulate the energy of say, ruby or sapphire. And we can send that energy from the ruby or sapphire into a person, just as we can send my voice into a cell phone. That's how we make a connection. It's not me in the cell phone. It's been modulated. It's the, if you will, the frequency or the intelligence of the mineral or precious stone that I'm sending.
It's fabulous. It's just fantastic what you can do these days.
It is.
What you've been able to come up with to save the rest of us, in spite of ourselves sometimes.
And it's great. You don't have to drive anywhere. You can just sit in the privacy of your home, and this is being done for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the features I like the most. Again, I work exclusively with emailed photographs. Why? A photograph serves as the connection. Just as a cell phone or a computer connects us, well, I connect with people by way of their photograph. Some people call that their quantum field. And this way, we can work with people 24 hours a day. Now, consider, when I have these instruments on, people are under this positive influence of scalar energy. It's an instrument 24 hours a day. Well, nobody wants to sit in a dentist chair 24 hours a day. Nobody wants to work out 24 hours a day at a gym. Well, I get that. Your photograph is your substitution, and we submit your photograph to energy 24 hours a day.
So, PK, are you all excited about this? I bet you can't wait to get your computer working and get that photograph in.
I was ready to put my foot through the computer before because I couldn't get it to happen. But I've got somebody coming in the morning that's going to set it up for me. I have more problems with electronics of late than I've ever had my entire life. I can't even make my phone work half the time these days.
Oh, God. And it's not even Mercury retrograde. Oh, my goodness.
I know it. I don't know what God's trying to have me take a look at besides slowing down and listening to what I'm being told instead of what I'm trying to find.
Well, now, Tom, one other question here about animals, because I know I've sent you pictures of my dogs before, and you've also treated them with scalar energy. So tell us about that.
Okay, I'll give a real life case, and so people can resonate with this. I have a Saint Bernard. The Saint Bernard is 8 years old, and he's an old man right now. My Saint Bernard is healthy. He doesn't have hip problems. One of the reasons why I kept my dog on natural foods forever since he's been a young puppy. So my Saint Bernard, even though he's 180 pounds, does not have hip problems, does not have joint problems. I am constantly providing nutrients to his bones, joints, to his tendons. He is healthy. So after 8 years, my dog can walk. He doesn't have a limp. He is healthy. Which, if you know a Saint Bernard, many times they start losing their mobility later in life. That's not the case with my dog. So it works, and I can testify to that by many people who've been on this regimen for a period of time. It's not going to happen overnight. I can testify to the fact that my Saint Bernard, that is 8 years of age now, that can still climb stairs, that does not have any hip displacement. So my dog per se, so to speak, does not have osteoporosis.
Your dog does
or
better
hip
than I
dysplasia.
do. I should have come to live with you.
Tom, can you be specific about the kind of food that you feed your dog? Because we've had a conversation with holistic dog communicators and lots of people about this, and I'm still looking for an answer. What do you feed him?
You know, my wife is very scrupulous. She usually picks out the food, but whatever we pick out, it let's just say it's whole grain, and it's not what I would consider filled with filler or preservatives. And I usually supplement that and consider this. I usually give my dog green beans or carrots every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You can give your dog vegetables. And my dog likes green beans, frankly. And I do that on a regular basis. So, you know, if people can eat vegetable, why can't a dog? Well, in many ways, yes, it's been quite successful with my Saint Bernard. My Saint Bernard is eating green beans on a regular daily basis.
Do you do raw food, like raw meat with him?
Very once in a while. I try and stick away from meat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just had to ask. And I'm still looking for the right diet for my dog, so I'm always asking. But so
you're right.
So
we had to experiment ourselves. We found the right dog meal for him. I'll forward that to you one of these days. Yeah,
I'd love to see it because my dog is Mr. Picky, and it's really hard to get him to eat. He hates dog food, and he's really a pill when it comes to eating. But I'm committed to trying to find the best way for him to eat. So anyways, with your dog, then he is subject to scalar energy. Is it direct through the devices, or is it just through photograph again?
Through just through photographs. But the key is this. My dog, for instance, is under the Natural Foods program 24 hours a day. And he's been under that program for 8 years. So my dog has been getting proper nutrition ever since he was a puppy with us.
From the Scalar Light alone.
Makes a difference.
Yes. Yeah, and he doesn't have arthritis, and he doesn't have any limp. You know, he's a big boy. He's 180 pounds.
He's a giant. Oh, my goodness.
I'm jealous of your dog.
No, but that's great. And you're making a really important point here about how valuable the Scalar Light energy is. Now, I'm getting asked questions here, and people are texting me, how much do you charge for these programs? So after the 15-day trial,
Sure.
if somebody wants to continue, what is the cost of this? How affordable is this?
You call our order desk. We have a special now. We've reduced our prices. We have an $89 special, $89 a month. And that will entitle you to our standardized sessions, $89. So call our order desk and just ask for that, and they will honor that. I'm trying to make this very simple, very affordable.
Where do they go to find the number? Where do they go to find the number? What's the website?
It's on the website. It's 805-364-3051. It's on the website.
What is the website? What is the website?
Is scalarlight.com. SCALAR.
That's it. Okay. Thank you.
Scalarlight.com.
Yeah, so that way they can find the phone number. They can find testimonials also from people who've been experiencing your programs, and they can call the order desk from there and make arrangements. And when you say a standardized program, what are you talking about? Are you talking about one of these 4 programs, or
that's a good point. When you go to the website, you will see we have 8 different programs. And what I just mentioned, the $89 value, that's the standardized program, Now, look at there's just too many to mention in a short period of time. We have 8 programs. So view the website. If you have any questions, call us. We'll explain what we're doing.
Okay, so does $89 give me, for example, the Natural Foods program?
I'll explain. The $89 is 3 protocols. It is the micronutrients, and we call that the nutritional program. It's a chakra balance, and it's the germ cleanse or pathogen cleanse. Now, that's what we call
so you're getting quite a bit.
Yes, that's what we call the starter program. And we want people to feel comfortable to start with that. And if they feel comfortable with that, then they can experiment with the other 7 or 8 protocols. Again, it really boils down to people, and I mean this, experimenting with each protocol to see which protocol is right for them. Nobody knows that. I like all the protocols, but I don't want to color anybody's judgment here. So you have to experiment this. Yeah.
No, that's great. So I have a good idea about that now.
How long would it take a person, do you think, for them to experiment with something before they decide to move on and try something else, or to say that they're satisfied with where they are?
At least a month, maybe 2 months with each therapy.
Okay.
You know,
that makes good sense.
Yeah, exactly. Give it at least 30 days, maybe 60 days. And then everybody's different. Everybody has to make that decision if it was of benefit to them. If so, great. If not, then it's not for you. I don't say this is the panacea for everybody.
Well, it's pretty close. I mean, it's, again, depending on what the issues are. I mean, let's face it, some people have had bad diets their whole life. And like you said, it's not going to turn around just from Scalar Light. It's important to also, like you mentioned, to PK, get with a nutritionist, get with an herbalist, get with somebody who's going to get you on the right track with what you should be eating, because that's your medicine. I mean, that's where medicine starts, is what you're eating every day. But then the Scalar Light becomes a big power booster with all of this.
It's a great way to supplement the diet. I eat, my wife and I are very scrupulous about, we only eat healthful food, what I would consider if from the ground. It's not processed food. Food is thy medicine, and everybody should abide by that. I'm so appalled at the junk food industry and what it's done to people. It's been terrible.
Yes,
true.
It's so addictive.
Terrible.
So addictive. Yeah. And also the other part that's a problem here is junk food costs less than organic vegetables and fruit. So you can go and get some junk food for a lot less money.
It kills the appetite, and they don't care to eat anything decent afterwards.
Yeah, it's a
That's
shame.
the bad part about it.
Much of this is changing, though. People are wising up. People see what's coming. And many people realize that there has to be a change in dietary habits and exercise regimens and having the right mindset. So much progress has been made. I'm very confident that we'll continue to make this forward motion, and the world is improving. And thank God.
That's for sure.
Yes, we're looking forward to improvements, aren't we?
Well,
ready.
just to go back to what we spoke about at the top of the hour here. The 2 years of the pandemic were really unprecedented, and we saw that there were some good decisions that were made and some decisions that were really poor in choice. So let's learn, people. Let's learn, and let's pay attention to those who helped us make those right decisions, and those officials, those educators who gave us the wrong information during the pandemic. We have to hold them accountable.
Definitely.
Yeah, hold them accountable.
That would be nice.
And all the people who lost their jobs,
we do that in the
get them back.
business world. We do that in the business world. We do that. Let's face it, in school, we do that in sports. Why don't we hold people accountable in government and in academia? We should.
We absolutely should. I mean, this affected so many people adversely, whether they lost their business, they lost their job, lost their health. I mean, there's just too much. It came from that. And then all the obfuscation and stupidity around where this thing came from, where it got started, how they tried to cover up what it was really and where it got started and where it was invented. I mean, all of that was a big manipulation.
Of course.
And I can't believe how many people got made fun of for saying that it came out of a China lab. How many people, were told that was ridiculous when it wasn't.
Well, you're right. And to this day, that's where the evidence is. Let's face it, when you really look at this virus, it had a snippet here, it had a snippet there. It was genetically engineered because the homology showed itself that of other viruses. In other words, the building blocks of COVID were other viruses, were other genomic forms. So it's there is a smoking gun here. Hopefully, people are going to wise up to that.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes. Yeah, and there's so many.
It was a man-made virus. It was genetically engineered.
It was engineered.
Yeah, and
yes,
why?
It was.
Well, for manipulation. Why would you do that? Why would anybody create a virus? For manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah, to kill off your own people and try to also see how far you can push them to comply. So there were a lot of things they were doing and experimenting with that horrible bioweapon. And now so many doctors and so many researchers are coming out and saying, this is what this thing really was. And we're not going to hide it anymore. So again, it's like the 14 FBI agents. Good for these doctors and researchers that are speaking out now and telling the truth about all of this. So it's about
you're
time.
You're absolutely right. It is about time. And if you don't stand up for yourself, this one world order will just walk all over you. If you think you're going to compromise with these evil people, forget it. These people will walk all over you. They're out for blood. They're not going to stop. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're so right. There's no compromising with evil, and they are evil in what they've done and what they continue to do. So, yeah, it's really an important thing to pay attention to and to develop your own spirituality also. So no matter what religion you are, where is your connection to spirit to give you the strength and the clarity of mind and the clarity of heart so that you can recognize what's going on?
Yeah.
No, it's all about dollars and cents at the bottom line for some, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think the American people are waking up. I think they're starting to realize just how nefarious this entire affair was, and how the people were set up. The people were set up, and by those whom we trusted, we were undermined. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's really true. And so, this is a wonderful opportunity for people to try what you're offering at no cost to them. It doesn't take any time out of the day. It's just a simple, I'm sending my photograph into Tom, and I am going to experience something, and then they can decide where they want to go from there. No, there's no adverse side effects to this. It's just simply scalar light. Now, I'm going to go back to Tesla for a few minutes because we have a few minutes left here to talk. Did Tesla do anything with health with this? Because I know he died. He was quite infirm. Did he ever try to use this light for health purposes back then?
He had some experiments, but I don't think he really had the time for that. He was really, I think his main emphasis was on energy generation. So his forte was not health. Had he had the proper staff and the proper accoutrements, he could have set up divisions. One division's for health, another division for anti-gravity, another division for energy generation. But he was always stymied. And who stymied him? The powers that be. There was a report that is believed that J.P. Morgan ordered that his laboratory be burned down. And that set Tesla back a year or two. His laboratory was burned to the ground, and it wasn't an accident. Well, put it together.
That's horrible.
Who's doing this? Put it together. It's kind of obvious.
Yes, it is obvious. Yeah, it is a shame. What an obvious act of sabotage against his work. Now, he was also linked with extraterrestrials and Mars. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, he was always trying to study Mars. Many times he said he had signals from outer space or signals from Mars. And, I never got the exact transcript of what he said. I don't have that verbatim account. But Tesla knew that there were signals coming to him that he could detect with his instrumentation throughout the universe. So Tesla, I believe he felt that there was some type of communication from beyond. Did he ever prove that? Not that I know of, no.
And he was interested in life after death and also creating some type of a telephone, right? I know Edison was too, that would communicate from the other side?
Yes. Now, imagine these things. Imagine that. Tesla wanted to be able to communicate with the spiritual realm. And is that possible? Well, of course it is. It's called telepathy. Some people call that, if you will, the gift of prescience or prophecy. So if you can transcend time and space, and many mystics can, they're doing that by way of a scalar energy paradigm. And yes, that's possible. Anybody who has the gift of prophecy, well, they can see prophetically into the future. Why? Well, scalar energy allows them to see into the future. So if you can do that as a prophet, then eventually you can develop an instrument that can allow you to see the future.
Do you know if Tesla ever did create the spirit phone? If there was a plan for that the government possibly took?
Not that I ever heard, no, to answer your question, no. Not that I ever.
Because I know Edison was working on that too. For some reason, he was interested in creating a spirit phone.
Yeah. But I can
you imagine if the two of them ever got together, what they could have produced?
Yeah, instead of fighting each other.
Well, see, they were pitted against one another. J.P. Morgan and the Rockefellers put their money and their might behind Edison. They wanted to make money off of Edison's inventions, whereas Tesla wanted to give away his knowledge. And in many ways, the reason we're stuck in this military-industrial complex is because Edison won the day, and Edison was their errand boy. Edison did exactly what the Rockefellers and the Morgans told him to do. So I wish we would have listened to Tesla. We would have free energy, and we would no longer be under the thumb of the central bankers.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, because look at what's predicted of what's coming. The collapse of the dollar, the collapse of the food chain. They've been burning down all these food processing facilities. Talk about burning down Tesla's lab. I mean, they're burning down food processing. They're trying to make farmers stop growing food on their land. They're harassing ranchers over their beef cattle. It's gotten so out of control, and it is affecting people. Inflation is causing a lot of problems for people to even just get food on their table. So I know we've been talking here on the show about getting your garden together, learning how to garden, getting some power back into your hands. You talk about energy, and we're talking about food, too, being able to grow your own food. You're in a better situation in Florida because, you have an ability to grow food outside all year long. And here in New England, we're pretty challenged. Yeah, and in Arizona, it's not the easiest thing to do, grow food in that 125
Our land
heat.
has got a lot of caliche on it, so there's no digging here. God.
Oh, gee. So, it's not easy to do, but, people I know that have never gardened before, all of a sudden, they are taking an interest in how to grow food for their own families, at least. So, it's some hard work. I know I've done it and I'm doing it now, but at least you can do it if you need to. So it's an important piece of that. Now, does scalar energy affect plants?
Yes, I've had great success. I live in Florida, and I frequently treat the trees and the flora around my home, and I can eradicate plant funguses, if you will, plant fungi. And I'm able to I think, spur on many trees and to promote their growth. The trees on my property are tall, they're healthy, they're green, without any type of pathogenic infection. So this is where I want to go with the future. I want to avail farmers, ranchers, people with tree orchards with this. I could easily eradicate a tree fungus and save a tree, especially a fruit-bearing tree.
That's fabulous. Yeah, because people are using Tesla coils in their garden, and they're using even just plain copper wire, and they're getting results.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and now we're going back to the basics, and now we're getting away from the chemicals, the herbicides, and we're going back to nature, and people realize that we've been hoodwinked. And I've heard that. There are Tesla coils used in gardens, and people are having great results.
Yes.
That's fabulous.
Yes. Yeah, we need more of that. And, oh, my goodness, Tom, this has been a wonderful experience with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a while since we talked, and we're all signing up for the free trials with your company, scalarlight.com, everybody. That's where you go. And you can find the free trial link on our webpage. You can find it at the bottom of the Blog Talk radio show explanation, and I'm going to put it on the Facebook page again tomorrow. So we'll be back next week, everybody, with another great show. But until then, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.